Hello, why is Liechtenstein independent? And why is it still a principality like Monaco and Andorra are? You don't know? Well, we are going to answer it together. Liechtenstein, as an entity, is relatively recent, since the principality only appears in 1719, as we will see later. However, the 160 SQ kilometers of Liechtenstein's current territory have fully experienced the great movements of European history. Due to its location at the gates of the Alps and on the banks of the Rhine, which is a major European river, today the country has a population of around 38,000, equal to that of a typical French town. Liechtenstein is nowadays a parliamentary monarchy, at the head of which is Prince Hans Adam II of Liechtenstein, whose son, hereditary Prince Alois of Liechtenstein, is already associated with power as regent. But how did we get to this status, and how did this small country in the heart of a Europe that tended to leave little room for small entities like this one survive? The answer lies in the history of this territory. In ancient times, the principality's current territory was initially inhabited by the Rhaetians, an enigmatic people who were neither Celtic nor Germanic in origin. The territory was then incorporated into the Roman Empire. Afterwards, it was shaken during the period following the fall of the Roman Empire. The territory was attached to the kingdom of the Franks in the 8th century, then to the entities directly succeeding it throughout the Middle Ages. The sector's territorial organization will change greatly. Before the county of Vaduz emerged in the 14th century, and the city of Vaduz being nowadays the capital of the principality, this county of Vaduz will directly depend on an entity whose role is fundamental in the history of Liechtenstein: the Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire was a medieval empire encompassing the majority of so-called Germanic territories, and even further varying by era. The empire's peculiarities were directly responsible for Liechtenstein's existence today. Firstly, it was a decentralized empire divided into dozens and eventually hundreds of small states. Each leader, directly under the emperor's authority, held the status of prince, derived from Latin princeps, meaning first of their state, and thus owed allegiance to the emperor. Secondly, the authority and power of the emperor were greatly diminished at the end of the Middle Ages. This is particularly striking when compared to neighboring France, whose kings experienced the opposite trend by centralizing their power over the centuries. Thus, the Holy Roman Empire states had a high level of autonomy and freedom of action. Thirdly, the title of emperor was elective, meaning it was chosen by a handful of princes who had the status of elector, which helped to limit the emperor's power. However, it was not until 1699 that the process allowing the emergence of Liechtenstein really began. When the aristocrat Johann Adam of Liechtenstein, I should specify here that Liechtenstein is the name of the dynasty to which he belongs, that is to say, roughly his noble family name, Johann Adam of Liechtenstein. So he bought the lordship of Schellenberg, neighboring Vaduz, before buying the county of Vaduz itself in 1712. This allowed him to request from the emperor the status of prince of the empire, enabling his heirs to participate more actively in the political life of the empire. Emperor Charles VI validated the unification of the lordship of Schellenberg on January 23, 1719, a few years after his death. The county of Vaduz was elevated to a principality of the empire on this occasion. As a result, its leader, Johann Adam of Liechtenstein's heir, became an imperial prince. Liechtenstein became the 343rd state of the empire, highlighting the fragmentation of the empire's territory at the time, and adopted the name Liechtenstein after the ruling dynasty. The princes of Liechtenstein ruled the principality with absolute power, without any checks, balances, or public input, while not residing on site but in Vienna, Austria, where the Emperor of Austria, who was also Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, is based. Napoleon reshuffled the cards in the region, as he did for many European countries. In 1806, he forced the Austrian Emperor, also Holy Roman Emperor, to dissolve the Holy Roman Empire, which included the Principality of Liechtenstein. Following this, on July 12, 15 princes of the former Holy Roman Empire were established. The Confederation of the Rhine a group of satellite states under Napoleon's French Empire, was formed due to the empire's influence, and of which Prince Johann Thornfurs of Liechtenstein was a part, allowing him to maintain his sovereignty over his territory. The sovereignty of the princes of Liechtenstein was officially recognized again after the fall of Napoleon's empire during the Vienna Congress of 1815, also allowing the Principality to join the German Confederation, which was a large defensive pact bringing together almost all of the Germanic states of the time. To join the Confederation, each state needed a constitution. As a result, Liechtenstein published its first constitution in 1818. Now, an absolutist political structure, although a kind of parliament was set up, the Landtag, where the local clergy and mayors sat. In reality, the prince held concentrated power. In parallel, the princes of Liechtenstein, having close ties with the Austrian Empire and still ruling over the Principality, not from Vaduz but from Vienna in Austria, they increasingly integrate the country and the Austrian economy. However, the absolutist and feudal management mode of the Principality will harm the economic development of the territory, which will lag behind its neighbors, logically causing social unrest, culminating in 1848 when major revolutionary movements shook Europe. The people of the Principality, who possessed no real political rights, demanded the abolition of feudal burdens and the establishment of democratic rights. The reigning prince, at the time, Alois II, made significant concessions, for example by allowing the establishment of a constituent assembly or by abolishing serfdom and several feudal taxes. However, these concessions were short-lived, as soon as the social unrest was under control in the neighboring Austrian Empire. The Prince of Liechtenstein viewed this as a sign to revert to the pre-existing order and the revolutionary wave that had rattled Europe, and he will simply cancel the concessions made and restore the absolutist constitution of 1818. However, things will start to change when Prince Johann II becomes the ruler of Liechtenstein. This new prince is aware of the need to reform his domain and organize its social and economic development, particularly encouraging him to give greater importance to the Landtag, that is, to the clergy and the people's representatives, who must be systematically consulted in decision-making. In 1866, when the German Confederation was dissolved as a result of a war between the Austrian Empire and Prussia, Liechtenstein's geographical location allowed it to avoid the events and maintain its sovereignty. This event benefited the small state, which had to fulfill its obligations as part of the Confederation, constantly have an army weighing heavily on the finances of this small, economically underdeveloped state, an army that will, in fact, be dissolved in the wake in 1868. And yes, you heard it right, Liechtenstein thus no longer has an army at the end of the 1860s, at the heart of a Europe that regularly ignites. Despite this, the country will maintain itself until our days. But how? Well, for several reasons. It's important to note that the Principality's army could never gather more than 100 men. An army of this size is not a significant threat against any European country. Crucially, Liechtenstein declares permanent neutrality simultaneously with the dissolution of its army, thus justifying, in theory at least, the fact of not needing a professional army. Lastly, Liechtenstein benefited from the military protection of the powerful neighboring Austrian Empire, as the Liechtenstein dynasty was firmly established there. As seen before, they resided in Vienna, the Austrian capital, rather than their principality, thus having strong connections with the aristocracy. However, Liechtenstein's permanent neutrality and lack of an army prevent it from participating in World War I, disrupting the political order, as Heronot, a Herodot label member, will mention.
Hello everyone, and thank you D-Mystif. History, it's a pleasure to be here. Following the First World War, the defeated Austro-Hungarian Empire will simply explode and give birth to many new states, leaving Liechtenstein without a protector. From then on, and that from 1919, Liechtenstein, understanding its precarious situation, asks Switzerland to provide diplomatic and consular representation abroad, which Switzerland agrees to do. This agreement was followed by several others in the ensuing years, economically and politically uniting the two countries, such as creating a customs union between Switzerland and Liechtenstein in 1923, and making the Swiss franc Liechtenstein's official currency in 1924. Note that this currency and this customs union are still in effect today. However, this will not spare the Principality from numerous troubles and natural disasters, and who came close to bankruptcy in the 1930s due to the global economic crisis. In 1938, when Nazi Germany annexes Austria, the princes of Liechtenstein depart German-controlled Vienna and permanently relocate to Vaduz, the capital of their principality. The latter was spared by World War II, which raged across the continent, and well beyond due to its economic and especially diplomatic integration with Switzerland.
In fact, Liechtenstein's political, economic, and diplomatic integration with Switzerland allowed the Principality to catch up after the Second World War. In just a few decades, Liechtenstein's economy develops, whether it's due to the development of specialized industries, and this probably won't surprise you, to the development of the financial sector. Consequently, the local workforce is inadequate to fulfill the Principality's companies' demands, and many residents of bordering countries start working in Liechtenstein. This prosperous economy allows the country to play the role of a welfare state, like many Western countries. Liechtenstein, a non-European Union member, maintains its own currency. The France-Switzerland is a parliamentary monarchy in which the prince still has considerable power. For example, he has a veto power that can counter any popular vote, that is to say also referendums or any vote of the assembly, as well as the ability to end a criminal investigation. So we are on a monarchical political model, more old-fashioned than elsewhere, which is unusual in 21st century Europe and still persists today. Thanks for watching. I encourage you to explore Aeronaut's work, and I appreciate his involvement. Links to his channel are in the description. I also sincerely thank Julian for his work on the maps in the latest videos from D-Mystif, History. The latest mini-documentaries feature clean and beautiful maps, all thanks to his work. To see upcoming videos, click the bell icon to subscribe. It's crucial for staying updated. And I'll be right back with the story of another small state, the Principality, or should I say the co-Principality of Andorra. See you in a bit.